everybody, Aiden here with Clean Pro and another episode. And today I'm looking forward to you meeting with Pavel Valenta. Pavel is the owner of Workplace Janitorial based in Winnipeg, British Columbia. And we're going to talk with him and learn about his trials and tribulations and successes that he's experienced over the years within his corporation and building it to what it is today. Pavel, welcome.
Thank you.
So wanted to start off with, most of us growing up, we don't envision, most of us anyhow, that we're going to get into the cleaning business. Most of us fall into it somehow by accident or something like that. Maybe, can you share a little bit about your journey into the commercial cleaning industry, and specifically, what motivated you to start a business and why cleaning?
Sure. So first, I just want to do a bit of a quick correction there. You said Winnipeg, British Columbia.
Oh, sorry. Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm from British Columbia. Yes, sorry.
We're in Manitoba, in the middle of the prairies. When I started my journey into the cleaning business, actually, very young. I was 22 years old. Wow. I was a commercial diver, and I was working like 3 jobs actually, and one of them was the cleaning on the side, doing some commercial cleaning. And I didn't want to do the commercial diving thing anymore. It was very physically demanding and a lot of travel, and it wasn't really a career path moving forward for me. So I got all excited about working indoors. And since I was already doing some cleaning, and I had family members who were in the janitorial business, then it made sense to follow that path. I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to start something. And I started off with a franchise because it helped me a lot. I didn't really know how to run a business or what to do. So I figured a franchise would be a good way to start. So since I knew a little bit about cleaning, I had family in the cleaning, that's the direction we decided to go into.
So did you start off initially right as a business owner, or did you start off with actually doing the cleaning and being a laborer at first, or did you just go right into ownership?
So prior to buying a franchise, I had like maybe 2 cleaning contracts on my own. Then when I purchased the franchise, I basically just purchased my own job. And I got myself a couple of cleaning contracts that now I was making a little bit more, although for the first couple of years I had a bank payment that I had to make. So I didn't really make much more money or anything like that, but it was an investment into the future. And then over the years, I was able to pick up a contract here, a contract there, and grow the franchise to a point where I had to hire teams and expand. And eventually I went to a point where I wasn't doing the cleaning. I was just running teams.
Yeah.
And I saw this is what I liked, and I wanted to build a company. But I found that the franchise model that I was a part of, it was better for owner operators more so than somebody who wanted to grow a company. And eventually I left that system and I founded Workplace Janitorial, which is not a franchise company.
Yeah.
And kind of started again from scratch and building that back up, and with the idea that I would not be working in it. I was working on the business and growing the company.
Yeah, and you've made a great point. Actually, a fair number of the viewers of this show I don't know the percentage, more than 10% for sure, maybe even up to 25% are in the cleaning industry and are either thinking about, have previously been or in that franchise model, and they end up getting many of them get out of it because they want to do exactly what you want to do. They want to be able to spread their wings, make their own decisions, and grow their business a little bit faster. But a lot of people do start off on that model. I mean, I know Ricky from GetRoute, great company that he owns, and that, you know, his family started off with a model like that, and then he came in and changed it, but it gave them that foundation. So as you leave that franchise model, or as someone goes from being small, maybe having a few jobs and they're working in it and they're trying to get themselves to where they're working on the business, and you know, that's really the only way you're going to grow it. What specific strategies did you use or do you use to generate sales and attract customers or potential customers? Any particular steps, processes that you used or use?
Sorry about that. My phone just blew up.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, you know, growth, I think, is the biggest challenge, especially coming from operations side. I've always been comfortable with doing the cleaning and working in the business. And as I transitioned out, I became less of a cleaner and more of a leader, strategist, and sales and marketing person. I had to get educated about what sales and marketing means, because in the franchise model, that's the part that the franchise takes care of.
Yeah.
So, so as I was getting educated and learning different things, first thing I did is we had a website. We got a website going, got a website up, and the messaging on the website is very important because that's the face of the company, essentially, when somebody is searching for you. Then the next step was refining the proposal. So our proposal is a multi-page proposal that introduces a bit about our company and our approach, what makes us a bit different. And it's the second face of the company, or perhaps third after a customer meets me. The proposal itself is something that they then pass on, maybe to the decision maker if I'm not dealing with the decision maker. So it's an important piece of marketing, and it has to align with the website, and it has to really show professionalism and a level of standard that they can then expect from your cleaning service, although marketing and cleaning are completely separate. But if you take the time to get into the details and to be really good at the presentation side of things, then the customer might take that you would also be that detail oriented in anything else that you do, including the cleaning.
You know, you bring up a good point there. What you're saying, if I hear you correctly, is the website is a direct image of the business, and the way it's worded and all that is positioning the company in the mind of the potential customer of you know, how the details of your quote, the details of your website are maybe perhaps of subconscious, but it is a way that the client is going to see you or think of you in your business. And the reason why I want to just address that for a sec is a lot of people that join the group and a lot of people that are part of our incubator, if you will, are starting off in their businesses. And a lot of them, I'm going to say close to 30-40%, don't have a website. And if they have an email address, it's someone@gmail.com. And maybe let's speak about that for a sec, because that really, that says I'm even though it may or may not be true, it gives completely different image that I don't have a website and email me on my Gmail account, as opposed to I do have a website. I mean, what is it, $10 a month, $100 a year, whatever, to have it? Once you put that initial investment in, or whether or not you do it yourself. How important is that to have that? I mean, I don't think a lot of websites necessarily get you business. Like people think, oh, I'm not getting all these leads coming, people coming, filling out this form. But perception is everything. Maybe speak about that for a sec.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it right there. It's the perception, it's the presentation. It's like when you walk into a customer's, like if you walk onto a walkthrough, you're not there just to figure out what it would cost. You're on stage, really. Like the customer is watching you for the little things, and they're trying to gauge what kind of person you are, if they can trust you, if you're capable, if you know what you're talking about, and how well you communicate. And the website is an extension of that, because before they even invite you in, they look at your website, and it's not about. I mean, it would be nice if that website just continuously generated leads and had people calling you. But more important than that, it is the face. It is the first marketing that presents you.
Yeah, what you make me think of is there was a time many years ago, wasn't cleaning, but there was a guy that came to our house. I can't remember why he was there now, but I asked him to give me a quote on power washing the house. And he was just a hardworking guy with a business name, just like Bob's Cleaning or whatever it was. And he gave me a quote, and the quote was like $1,000 or $1,100. It was in that ballpark, and I was taken back for it. I was like, oh. He said, oh well, it's going to take me 2 hours work, 2 days work, and blah blah blah. I said, oh, no big deal. I just was a little shocked by it. So I thought, well, I'm going to get another quote. And the person came to my door. They had a logoed truck, a logoed trailer. He had a logoed hat, jacket, shirt, everything. He went and did the quote. He came back, and the price was half the cost because he was using different equipment. And I didn't go with the guy because it was half the cost. I wanted to go with his name was Tiny. I wanted to go with him because I kind of had a little relationship with him. But at that moment, I realized that I was dealing with like they were going to do the job right, and I wasn't going to have to chase them and whatever. It was cheaper too. And it just always stuck with me, that image, and that's what customers are looking at, right? They're looking at, and it might be subconscious. It's just the other thing I always think of is, in Canada here, you'll be familiar with, every major town has a Boston Pizza. And if you're traveling with your family and you go into a small town, maybe you're stuck there that night and you have two options, right? Small town pizza or Boston Pizza. You're going to Boston Pizza because right, you have an image and what have you, there's a standard. And so having the website and having everything look good and all that kind of stuff, and an email address that matches your business name, it just gives you a little bit more security. And so I endorse that. And your website, if everyone wants to check it out, is very nice, clean website. Which leads me to the next question is, you have your website, it's an image of your brand. From a marketing standpoint, a lot of people confuse the sales aspect with the marketing. Let's call the marketing one-to-many and sales one-to-one when you're actually talking to a prospect, for this conversation. What do you do from a marketing standpoint as far as digital marketing, social media, traditional marketing, brochures, what have you? How do you go about promoting your business? What works best for you? So
we've tried a number of things, and we've had varying levels of success with different things. So initially, we spent all of our budget on search engine optimization to make sure that we're at top of Google. wanting people who are searching for cleaning services to find us. We've also spent money on the pay-per-click Google ads that would get us right at the top of Google in the sponsored section. And we spent some money on trying to get onto the map section. So the Google is spread out. At the top is the sponsored, then you have the maps, and then you have the organics. And so we tried to hit all of those. We didn't have enough leads coming through these efforts to give us any substantial growth. But the leads that did come through this were very warm. Those were people already out there looking and who had a chance to check us out. They click on all these websites and they liked what they saw on our website. And we could turn over or close the deal with probably 30 to 40% of people coming through these channels.
Oh, wow.
I attribute that because they were actually very warm already. We're also working with a company that does cold calling and cold emailing, and we're getting some success with them. We're getting about somewhere between maybe 3 and 6 appointments a month. And so we're getting some success with this company, or with this approach, I should say. But I think there's a difference with reaching out to people versus people coming and already looking for you.
Yes.
We have certain criteria to qualify, to pre-qualify people that we reach out to. So we're not looking for people who are just price checking or anything like that. But still, our closing rate on these ones is a lot lower than on the ones that come organically looking for us. As far as social media, we've done some Facebook ads and we didn't find much success there. We could definitely do more. We want to expand more on our LinkedIn is a good idea to use. Instagram is better, and video marketing, just putting together videos would be captivating, but we don't have a lot of experience in there. We're trying different marketing strategies. Yeah, and then the other thing that we look for is just maybe partnering up with people who started a cleaning business, maybe gave it a shot, and it wasn't their thing. They're more operations rather than leading and organizing and structuring and sales and marketing. And they feel like they want to either focus on the cleaning side of things or want to get out altogether. So finding these people and working with them to either acquire them or help them focus on what they're good at, and furnishing maybe their other contracts with our own staff and paying them out for them. That's a strategy of growth as well. And looking for various merging opportunities is another way of growing.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because there are a lot of people that start a business and they recognize that, when we talk about work in your business, work on your business, it's kind of a saying from the E-Myth book, and in the book E-Myth, he talks about there's 3 types of people, right? There's the technician, there's the manager, and there's the entrepreneur, and most of us are one or the other. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with either of them, but if we're a technician person, it's hard to change that. You're a hands-on person, you're a mechanic, you're whatever, you're doing the cleaning and you're used to that, your hands are dirty, and then putting on the management hat, right, and putting in the structure, and then putting on the entrepreneur hat, let's call it the marketing, and we all gravitate to one to the other, and it's important to recognize that, because there's nothing wrong with either of them. But if you're more of a technician, then you're going to want to either hire someone that helps you with the management or helps you with the entrepreneurship, or or work with someone like yourself as an example, sit back and say, okay, I can off this piece while I do this. And so that's a great strategy because it's a win-win for both of you. It's a win-win for you and a win-win for them. Yeah, I like that. I like that approach. When we talk about, so you do all these things to get a customer. I think it's what Drucker said, a business does two things. It gets a customer and keeps a customer. Those are the two things a business needs to do. And client retention can be hard because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't value cleaning, right? They hire cleaning and it's like, oh, it's easy for a cleaner to miss a garbage or something, and everyone focuses on that and that. So what do you do, or how do you kind of navigate and work on client retention? Would you have any tips on that? Because that can be a hard piece too, once you get them to keep them.
Yeah, when you get the customer, communication is key. It's huge. So it starts setting it up during the walkthrough and during the proposal section of your relationship. You have to make communication a priority and an expectation, and then you have to deliver on it. So after the first cleaning, checking in with them and saying, hey, how did we do? Is there anything we can do better? When they give any feedback, even though sometimes, complaints hurt and they're deflating, but encouraging them and having a mindset where not that it's a complaint, but it's the customer telling you where they're looking and what's important to them. That's very good to have. It's good information to have. So not taking it to heart, but really saying, okay, so this is what's important to the customer, and adjusting. And periodically checking in and just making sure that they are okay and encouraging them for any feedback continuously. What happens then over time, the customer gets used to this level of service. In fact, since, like you mentioned, cleaning sometimes isn't valued, but what is valued is that level of service that accompanies it. If you deliver it well, and if you make the customer feel special and cared for and heard, then they recognize that that's something different about you or about your company. And they just want somebody that they could trust, they could rely on, and they could reach out to, and their problems are taken care of. That ends up being more important than the dollars, per month or whatever, as long as it's within reason.
Yeah.
So that communication and taking care of your customers is huge.
It's, and that's a great point. As you're saying that, it reminds me, and it kind of correlates and has something to do with this. But in one of my past lives, I was a sales rep, and I would take commercial cleaning owners out for lunch. So I remember I took a commercial cleaning guy. He was a great businessman. He had started a company in Europe. He was in Vancouver, British Columbia area, and he built the company pretty fast. And we go for lunch, and he recommended a place. So he goes, oh, this is my cleaner's restaurant. They just opened it. And he said, so I thought we would support them. I said, okay. And this is my point to the story is she came up to take our order, and it's just always stuck with me. And 3 times he said to the girl, who's, I think maybe the father owned it or whatever, but they're starting their business. And he said to her 3 times, I'll never forget, he said, no onions. Right? Yeah, no onions. At the end, he said, no onions. She goes, yeah, no onions, right? 10 minutes later, the food comes, goes down, there's onions on there. And he looked at me, and it was just kind of a defining moment. And he said, it's easy to start a business. It's hard to run one. Yeah. Right. And it just stuck with me. It stuck with me on that. So it's one thing to start the business, but to keep the customer and be happy, you've got to have those standards in place and all that stuff, because you're as good as your weakest link. And that lady was a face of the company, and they're just starting off, and someone asked 3 times for no onions, right? So, so when you were saying that, that came to mind because it just reminded me of the old saying is managed by walking around. And when you say you're going around there talking to them or phoning them, what have you, and keep that communication open, then instead of them, if there's an issue, instead of them bottling it up and getting angry about it and kind of pissed off, they sit back, they can phone you and feel like they can phone you. And that just, it's going to reduce that tension and that immediately. So I think that's great advice because a lot of us, a lot of people, they open business and they think their employees are running everything, and you need to be involved and the face of that customer. So when they think of the business, they think of you, not they think of the person that comes there every day.
Yeah, that's right. And just the other thing too that I've learned over the years is when you're an owner operator, you're at a disadvantage because if you're the cleaner and you're coming up to the customer and wanting to make sure everything is great and everything like that, if it isn't, the customer has no other option other to let you go and find a different company if you're the owner operator. If you are not the owner operator and you're an employee, or I should rephrase that, if you are the owner and you are employing somebody to do the cleaning and the cleaning isn't great, as a last resort, you have one more card in your sleeve and you can say, I will change the cleaning staff. And that could be your last bailout. But if you are the owner operator, you can't, because changing the cleaning staff means changing the cleaning company. So there's an advantage to being not the owner operator cleaning a customer's premises.
That's a great point, and something I hope everyone's listening to takes into account. Just kind of switching gears now. From your standpoint, when growing your business, what's the sweet spot where you start running the company from an operational standpoint instead of more in the daily task? Was it you hitting $10,000 a month recurring revenue? Was it 20,000? Where is there a sweet spot that the people watching sit back and say, okay, when I get to this spot, I'm going to have to adjust who I am, the way I manage, and switch from this, maybe it's a technician to a manager point. Is there a point that you noticed that you had to change your skill set for that next level, and what was that level?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, the stepping stone of 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 30,000 a month, those are pretty decent stepping stones. I would say that if you're at $30,000 a month, you probably should not be doing any cleaning of your own, and you should be focusing on running the business. The transition point, I'm not sure exactly. It's been so long, but I would imagine somewhere if you're at 20 or below, you probably have to do a little bit of the cleaning still yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a really tough spot to be because the cleaning, essentially, you're saving yourself the wages that you would be paying somebody else. And you're taking up the time that you could be doing or spending to grow and run the business. There's a spot that it's kind of a catch-22, but I think by the time you reach close to 30, you should get out of cleaning for sure.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good advice, because I know I watch all kinds of podcasts and different people and outside of clean, but just growing a business and stuff like that. And they say they had all these people that have built massive companies say they have to change who they are. They become $1 million company, and then they have to be a completely different leader, a completely different mindset, completely different challenges to go from to $1 million to 10 million, and from 10 every single time they're not the same person. They have a completely different outlook, a different skill set. because they have to because the business changes and they have to change with it. So I just want to make people aware of that because um, they need to be prepared on what their weaknesses are and recognize that, hey, I'm going to have to get a new skill set when I hit $30,000 a month, and maybe start preparing for that now. Whether or not that's a night school or whether or not that's just reading a book, whatever. But putting that on because you can't grow your business at the same mindset you are. You have to grow with it. So um, that's just very, very good advice that you gave there. Finally, what trends do you notice in the commercial cleaning? Like, what are there any trends that are gravitating? And what I mean are people gravitating to, since COVID, are they more focused on disinfecting? Are they more focused on green and wanting green sustainability solutions? Are there any changes that you see happening or is it kind of the business as usual? From your perspective, where do you see things going, or do you see them going anywhere?
Um, I do see people shifting towards eco-friendly products, and since COVID, disinfecting is important to some, not as many as you would think.
Yeah.
And it's almost as some people are still on that mindset where disinfecting is effective and it's important, and some people have left it altogether. Actually, even during COVID, I was surprised at the number of people who didn't feel that disinfecting, like it wasn't a highest priority compared to others.
Yeah.
So the eco-friendly thing is definitely catching on. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what trends there are. Sometimes it's really hard to notice these things because when you're a business owner running your company, you're kind of walking your own path. And, they say it's lonely being a business owner because you don't, maybe you're at the top of your own pyramid, but also finding other people is difficult because they're all your competitors, but being a part of a community of non-competing business owners from other markets and companies from around, North America, is definitely beneficial. So you can learn a bit more about what's out there. So being part of your organization and your community definitely would help in that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not really sure what trends there are.
Okay. And as we wind down here, just two more questions. From your perspective, you've got your business to where it is. In business, we always want to grow. I'm sure you're wanting to grow and take it to the next level. What plans do you have for scaling your business and where do you see things going with AI or anything like that? Is there anything that you're looking at and sitting back saying, I'm going to have to do this, or I'm going to do this to take my company to the next level? And if so, what is that?
Yeah, well, AI definitely. I'm using AI every day. It's really helpful with crafting emails and communication to customers, creating automations so we can stay in touch and we can send out those emails that encourage and thank customers in a professional way for their feedback and for their business altogether.
Yeah.
My path forward, I'm actually I'm trying to develop a training program within our company for our newly acquired staff. So I'm using AI to help me along with that too.
Oh yeah.
And the idea for us is our operations are running pretty smooth, but I'm operations minded, so I keep tweaking the operation side. But grow through acquisitions or mergers, grow through acquiring more customers, and just building a turnkey operation is kind of the path forward for us.
Yeah, good, awesome. Yeah, yeah. Having a training system for your employees and making sure everybody, you know, it is has the same training and all that is very important because, you know, one of the things that I learned, you know, through calling on commercial cleaning companies for the last 30 years, and just in general, human nature in general, but in the cleaning industry, is the average person needs to be told something somewhere between 5 and 7 times, right? Like to understand it. And that's assuming that both people speak the same language very clearly. Uh, the challenge with that is that the average employee will only ask their boss or superior somewhere between 2 and 3 times, because after that they might forget what have you, and they feel stupid or silly, and they don't want to ask that because they think they're going to look bad to the manager. So you have that gap. So having a training system or something where they can go, okay, what do I use, you know, in the bathrooms again? You know, I don't want to ask the boss for the 5th time, you know, oh, I can have my cheat sheet, or I can go back onto the website or what have you. That's very important. And you know, and obviously you can see that as you're navigating and taking your company to the next level. So good for you, because yeah, that's a challenge for everybody, you know, in my years of calling that I've seen it. Last question. If you know, you said you started at 22. So if all of a sudden, you know, you woke up and you had to start over completely again, today, you know, what do you wish you knew then at 22 starting that would take you to where you are now faster, maybe 10 years faster, whatever, you know, I'm assuming you'd be able to get there faster now than you did because you learned through trial and error, things like that. What's the one thing that you know, one or two things, what would you say to someone starting off with, you know, the 22-year-old Pavel, hey, do this and you'll get there faster?
Very good question. I like that question because I've thought about this quite a bit. One thing that I've done a few years ago that I wish I did years and years and years before that is I joined a group of business owners who are also advisors. So this is it's a structured, professionally facilitated, I guess, organization that where business owners meet around a boardroom table once a month. We have a professional facilitator and a business coach who we meet with prior to the board meeting. We meet one-on-one and we dive deep into whatever issues we're dealing with and strategies and different things like that. And then when we meet around the boardroom table with the other business owners, we share numbers and key performance indicators. And again, we have a time slice where we dive deep into specific issues. And so having advisors is the key. But going backwards, if I had to start again, not only would I join an advisory group like this, but I think the thing that really brought things together for us was the structure. So working with somebody who could show me how to structure an organization, starting off with organizational chart, starting off with a 15-year goal, where we're heading, and building a company with future in mind, as opposed to when I first started, I was learning on the go, and I first was cleaning, and then I realized I need to become the leader of our cleaners. So I became the leader, and then trying to figure out how to get leadership level in place, and then moving up a level, and now how to become a leader of the leaders. So I was building the company from ground up, but I learned over time, and now now looking backwards, it's much better to build a company from top down, and putting that structure in place, at least on a piece of paper, that so you have a direction where you're heading and you're not figuring it out as you go. And also having those advisors, because there's always 100 different things that you could be doing, and they all could be prioritized differently. And everyone's going to tell you different things are more important. And when those, and you're just not sure which one to pick. And the ones that you pick, they might not click together. And having somebody who has experience, a mentor or a group of advisors that can help you create a structure and help prioritize what to do first and what to do next, and the things, how they work together, that would accelerate the success of our company going back lots, huge.
Yeah. Well said. And that's a great piece of advice because, yeah, I mean, having a mentorship, a mastermind, whatever you want to call it, where you can bank ideas and share ideas. You learn so much from being around other people, and I know for myself and that. So that's just great advice. Pavel, I want to thank you very much. You built a great company. I mean, I should check it out. For everyone, you know, if they want to, you know more about your business or what have you, what's the best way to find you? Probably your website, LinkedIn. How would you? What's the best way for someone to find you or what have you? Should they want to reach out or find more about you?
Well, we're Workplace Janitorial. Our website is workplacejanitorial.com. And I'm on LinkedIn. So if you search the company name or Pavel Valenta, you'll find me on LinkedIn. And on our website, there is a form that a person can fill out, and it generates an email that comes to us. And so I'm happy to be contacted by people, and I'm always happy to help growing entrepreneurs.
Love it. Well, there you have it, everybody. You can learn from Pavel and Workplace Janitorial, and the challenges that he's faced and the things he's done. You're not the only one. We're here, Clean Pro. You know, we come to you on a regular basis with interviewing successes like Pavel and Workplace Janitorial. Until next time, I'm Aiden Rigg. You're watching Clean Pro, and I'll see you next time, everybody.